I have so many questions. I'm still losing my mind. Like I said, me and my dad have been watching this season together and we're obsessed. The finale, we were just like, oh my gosh, what does this all mean? So kudos to you guys for keeping us hooked every season. And I'm so excited that you got the season 3 renewal already. So
Yes.
So are we. So are we.
Hallmark has made huge waves with their hit show, The Way Home. It's captured the hearts of OG Hallmark fans and newcomers to the channel alike as they explore the complex and mysterious multi-generational drama of the Landry family, their secrets, and oh yeah, time travel. Kristen here to talk about Season 2 with mother-daughter show-running team Alexandra Clark and Heather Conkey. To get started, I wanted to jump back to Elliot's first time traveling with Alice. I know he has his own theories about the pond, and he's proposed that people can travel in tandem with the Landry women, but they can't go to the future. So I wanted to clarify, does that mean that like the Landry line also can't go to the future, or just the people that are traveling with them cannot go to the future?
Oh, that's a good question. I like that
Mm.
one. I think all we can sort of say about that is that that's exactly the right thing that Elliot would say. I think, and that's exactly how Elliot would probably question it. Given the time to really ruminate on the Finn factor, I think he would test that theory too, for sure. Yes, in his mind, the Finn factor means that you can travel in time with a Landry holding your hand, or right after a Landry, and you are only taken to the past. And so
Mm.
that means that Finn is a dog from present day that went to the past via Cat or Alice jumping in. And if you notice in season 1, now that you know the Finn factor, or at least this theory of the Finn factor, if you do go back, Finn is, anytime little Jacob mentions seeing a dog, it's when either Cat or Alice are there, and which means that that's how he got back there.
Then we see Jacob time travel to 2024. So I'm like, there's already things like that could be brewing with like, versus going back to 1999 as an adult.
Don't forget with Jacob, what's interesting about him is he is from the present day timeline,
Mm.
really. I mean, he was just sort of taken by the pond back to this time that he did end up spending a lot of time in. But really, if he hadn't done that, he would be living as a
Mhm.
32-year-old with Kat in 2024.
Mhm.
So that does sort of is something to keep in mind.
I'm also curious about, why Alice was able to go back to a moment that she already experienced with Elliot. That was sort of like the first time we got to see that happen, whereas typically they've been moving forward in time.
Mom wrote that episode, and I think that in our minds it was that trip was for Elliot. And
Yeah. Was
she really did kind of say, even to him ahead of time, like, I want to give you this gift. And I
Mhm.
think going into the pond with that intention
Mhm.
uh probably led them to where they ended up.
yeah.
So because that trip really was all about Elliot getting his 5 more minutes, and not only that, but also kind of having his eyes open to Kat's own experience, and in the fact that he did want to warn Colton, despite all his logic and all his talk of the rules. In the
Yeah.
moment, face to face with this man who was more like a father to him than anyone, he wanted to tell him, "Don't get in the car, don't go to the carnival, watch your kid," whatever it is, and checking himself in the moment and knowing, oh my gosh, this is why Kat did what she did. This is how she must have felt. I think is a really intriguing moment for that character to experience. He's such a logic based guy, so cerebral. To have
Yeah.
that kind of emotional experience, I think will really help inform where he and Kat kind of meet, moving forward.
Mhm.
Yes, exactly. He had to feel what she felt,
Mhm.
and he could never really understand or get over the fact that in part of his heart in his head, he blamed her for
Mhm.
that without knowing how she felt and what she went through. And now he understands that. So they are on a different plane going forward after that.
You think we'll see Elliot traveling again?
We always discuss it. It
Never
has to be
say never.
meaningful when
Mhm.
it happens, if it happens. There has to be a reason, because that's his first
Um,
rule. The pond takes you somewhere for a reason.
Going off of that, I know you guys have said in another interview that you have a whole list of rules of the pond in your office. So I'm curious, like, how did you come up with them? Like, what kind of research went into? I mean, it's like you creating time travel in this world, you know? So what kind of research went into coming up with those rules?
Oh gosh, lots. I mean, Marley Reed, who created our concept for the show and who is amazing and brought it to us, really had done a lot of research herself ahead of time. It was very much an idea of this sort of cyclical time travel versus alternate timelines, and you have the butterfly effect and all that sort of stuff. We didn't want to do that because at the end of the day, the time travel aspect of our show needed to be cleaner than that, because the show really isn't, if you I mean, this is, the show really isn't about time travel in a weird way. It's about what happens to you on this journey that allows you to understand yourself, your family, your past, your origin better, and
Mhm.
it makes you figure out how to connect with people in the present in a way that's more empathetic and more understanding. So time travel for us, it's cool and it's amazing, and it takes you to really amazing, incredible places. But we wanted it to be a tool versus the show. And so in that way, I think using this kind of version of time travel where what happens will always happen, you can't change anything, you can learn from it, really helped tell our story.
It's kind of mind bending, and I find it very mind bending, I have to say. I leave it up to Alex and Marley to, sometimes I can just sit there and go, what? You're doing what?
Yeah.
And then in the end, of course, it's storytelling. So but it has rules. And if you break the rules, you break the trust with the audience. So that's why we have the rules,
Mhm.
so we don't break them, basically.
And it also allows us to get really creative with
Mhm.
with things, because sure, a rule is this way, but if you approach it from a different way, maybe you can make it into something different, and I think that's been one of the real challenges and exciting ones going into especially a season 3, when people have heard what happened will always happen, I don't know how many times, and how do you kind of still manage to flip things on their head when there are rules in play?
I love what you guys mentioned about how like everything happens for a reason. So like there was a reason that, Alice was sent back to the 90s and the early 2000s, and it kind of seemed like in this season that she kind of closed the chapter of what she was supposed to figure out. She was supposed to bring Kat and Dell back together, and she thinks that she's like solved it. But do you think that there's more there, or do you think that now she's like closed that chapter and she's on to a new mystery now with, Casey's necklace?
There's always going to be a new mystery, no matter what.
No matter
That's
what.
our rule, another rule. Um, but I think that in her case, I mean, season 1 was to get to know her mom better, to heal the rift between her and her mom. And season 2 was her goal, without even knowing it was going to happen, was to solve that rift between her mother and her mother.
Mhm.
And she found the reason for that unbelievably long estrangement. But she will have another goal,
Mhm.
always.
Yeah.
And yeah, we're in the midst of brainstorming all those things that you're bringing up. They're very interesting questions.
And I think, look, the 99 2000 era of our show is the golden era. It was when things were good. It was when everyone was still here. It was when, Alice was a part of things, however small, but truly impactfully.
Mhm.
And so I think that's something that we would be loath to walk away from fully, because it's a moment in time for this family that was perfect, utterly perfect. And so much for the Landrys hasn't been perfect,
Mhm.
and and will continue to not be perfect. But you can certainly harken back to those days as sort of the dream almost. And I think one of the things we love about our show is the echoes of the past are always with you in the present, and the beautiful moments of a 99 night play out at the same table where, you know, maybe they're fighting in 2025, and you can feel that presence. And that's always been sort of the goal for our show, was that sort of idea that all of these different things, these different moments can play out in the same space for a family, and they're all still there in one way or another.
I mean, you guys do it so well. I love like those full circle moments. You get to see the family in like that golden moment of like at the barbecue with the fireworks, and then to find out not only did Elliot help make, the entire, treehouse area, but also that he came back as an adult and helped with the lights for his younger self. Like all those
Yeah.
moments, you're just like, so it's so
Like
good.
we like those. They break our brains a lot of the time, but we like them.
I'm
Sure.
really like it when it works.
Yeah, when it works, we really like it.
Speaking of Alice as well, in this season, you bring a couple more people into the fold of like knowing this secret when we find out, for instance, that like Nick learns that Alice is his Alice. We have, a modern day love interest for her. We have a 90s love interest for her, and now he knows, who she really is. I'm just like mind blown.
I remember sending Carrie the script, who plays adult Nick, the script for 9, and he was like, "Wait, what?" And it was fabulous. It was, I think the Nick character in general is just such a fun character, and he brings such a level of just ease and casualness to a show that is quite dramatic. And
Mhm.
so anytime he's in a scene with Elliot or with Kat or both of them, Monica, he always manages to just be this really great energizing force, that where it's like, don't take things so seriously, like, hey, let's have a drink, or let's go to the bar, let's, that's what I love about the Nick characters. So to see him in 9 kind of come into the fold a little bit and know that secret and see the sort of serious side of him, was really, really powerful for us. And I think, Sadie and Carrie handled that final scene of the two of them on the couch so brilliantly. We'd made this rule in the blocking that they weren't allowed to look at one another until Nick says, I realized it was really hard on me, but I never realized how hard it was on you. And that's when they kind of start going, okay, maybe we can have this conversation, and it's not going to be, well, it's always going to be weird, but it's not going to be
Always
like
going to be a little creepy.
creepy. I think that's an amazing moment of closure for both of them. But it's also, if we needed and wanted it to in a season 3, it's a really exciting place to start them again, because having that knowledge of each other and having it out in the open with each other, is a really, I mean, that's just fun. Like, those kinds of things make me giddy.
There's a lot of interesting moments I feel like this season you brought up of like realizing, oh, it was hard for me, but I didn't think about what it was like for you. I feel like a lot of the characters have those kind of moments, like Elliot, with Kat, and even Kat with Jacob being like, it was so hard for us not having you here, but like we didn't know you're growing up in the 1800s.
Oh, absolutely. And
Yeah.
I would argue even the final moments with Dell and
Mhm.
Kat, as they realized the misunderstanding with the letter, I think
Mhm.
both were not thinking one thing about the other person, because they were very internal about it. Oh,
Mhm.
she didn't want to come because she didn't love me. Oh, she didn't want me to come because she doesn't want me there. I said the bad thing, and but to your point, have them kind of look across the table and realize the other side, uh,
Mhm.
was such a beautiful, beautiful moment for those.
Beautiful, beautiful scene. They
Mhm.
did an amazing job. We were all in tears
Yeah,
behind the monitor.
We were
Because they
too
were,
at home.
happens a lot on set.
Did you guys have a moment this season that was like one of your favorites to bring to life? I mean, there were so many incredible moments.
there are so many. I really, really enjoyed the Noah character doing the Backstreet Boys with, with Alice.
That was so cute.
That even in the mix and when we were getting the music perfect, it just always makes me smile. Elliot pounding through the wall with that mallet, just
Mhm.
I just go, oh, wow. But any of, well, there's so many. I mean, the scene that when Thomas carries Kat into the water and you think he's going to drop her, and
Oh,
it's so emotional, and she just let it loose. I've never seen a performance like that.
Yeah.
I think I looked at that performance on in the rushes and said, oh, My God, that's pretty special. That in fact, I carried my computer downstairs and showed my husband that scene, and he was like, "Oh my God, that's incredible." So yeah, those moments. There's so many moments.
Another one to
Yeah,
add to it, I just from a
yeah,
pure point of pride, because we'd never pulled off anything so big,
yeah.
was Jacob coming in by the boat and the soldiers taking him away, and the coordination and stunts, and it was a dance. We had to really figure that one out, so because there's a horse involved and there's stunts and people are going down and getting knocked over and someone's getting pulled out of a boat, and I mean it was Spencer's first day on set, which wow, that's one way to jump into our show. But how that came out in the end, I think felt so epic. And I remember Chris, who plays Thomas, kind of taking me aside at one point, and he was like, it's like we're making like a blockbuster movie. And I was like, three cameras going, and I'm so proud of what came of that day. And even just the smallest moment in it of Jacob turning for the first time and you see his face was like, oh,
You see those
Such
blue
a-
eyes.
Oh my gosh, mind blowing. Like seriously,
Jacob's
I
blue
was like,
eyes.
oh, it's what we've been waiting for, you know? Like, will he really be there? Is it really him?
Tyler, speaking of incredible performances, kind of trying her best to get out of that water in that dress, and she looks like this like crazed sea monster, and it's so visceral and emotional, and
Oh,
the turn she makes in these carnal screams, but then to just total determination. We were just in awe.
She is such a phenomenal actress. Like your whole team is just incredible, but she really brings you in. And also going off of that, I was going to say she has chemistry with everybody. Like I'm shipping her
I
with
know.
everyone. Like yes, I'm rooting for her with Elliot, but also I'm like Thomas, but also I'm like Susanna.
It's
yeah.
pretty remarkable. It's pretty remarkable. She's it's pretty impressive actually.
She's like that in person as well. She has just an amazing aura about
Mhm.
her that you feel like you want to enfold her.
Mhm.
And she's just that person. It's
Yep.
incredible.
Obviously, Kat has spent these first two seasons either, hoping to one day find Jacob or being on the cusp of finding him. She finally, gets him back. And I'm curious like where that kind of leaves her next and what you could tease maybe about, how easy it'll be for Jacob to really kind of come into like modern day, see Dell. I just can't imagine that's going to be a simple thing.
It's
No, I
not.
fairy tales have happy endings, and we certainly started down the road of giving the audience one at the end of this season. Him popping out of that pond and being led home. But I think fairy tales, what happens after the happily ever after? Cinderella and her prince get married, but maybe there's marital problems. There's always something after the happy ending, and I think it's been really exciting in the writers' room that we're in now for season 3 to talk about that, to talk about what happens after the happily ever after.
Yeah.
And we were very purposeful in especially in episode 9 about talking about fairy tales in different ways and the ideas of them. And I think the end of our season does feel a little bit like a fairy tale, in a way. But we wouldn't be the way home if we didn't kind of make that fairy tale reality as well, moving into season 3.
He
No,
finally made his way home.
exactly. No, and I think
Exactly.
Kat is a part of that, because to your point, like she's completed the mission accomplished, seemingly. And I think again that's a really exciting place to start her in a season 3 of what now, what next. And that's, yeah, it's fun. It's daunting, but it's fun.
I mean, it gives us a chance too to delve into Dell's mind
Mhm.
set.
Yes.
It was one that if you recall in season 2, I mean, how Kat had to wrap her head around the fact that she's not looking for an 8-year-old boy anymore,
Hmm.
looking for a 32-year-old man. That really hit her. So you can imagine if it hits a sister like that, how it hits a mom.
Mhm.
Oh, absolutely.
So it's going to have. I can't even imagine myself, but we have to get into her mind and feel what she would go through,
Mhm.
both the happy and the worried and the protectiveness and the everything. You don't want anything bad to ever happen to that beautiful boy again.
We got to talk about the thing that like that like killed me, which
Oh
was
no.
Colton. Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
the mystery figure. Oh, you guys really did that. You guys really did that.
Yeah, we
So
went there.
you went there when he recognized Cat in the car accident. I was like, that's probably just the pond being like, have this one moment. But other people were like, oh, I think he might be a time traveler. It went over my head. But people are like, maybe that was setting it up. So how long have you sort of been setting this up? And also, would that mean that there could be multiple timelines where some people are dead, some people can come back? Like where we're getting all
Love what you're doing with your hands.
Yeah, we do that a lot in the writing. Colton as time traveler was always there for us, sure. And I think Jefferson, who plays Colton, did such a masterful job of of making this really ambiguous choice with how he performed those scenes, and so that if you had it in your mind that he was a time traveler, you would see those scenes one way, and if you had it in your mind that no, he doesn't recognize these people, or like he's just a normal guy, it would be something else. And I think all along we were sort of playing with the idea of it. And yeah, I think we will, like, I'm obviously no spoilers, but I think that uh that story of why he's there, why, because don't forget, he's not only seeing himself and his family, he's also seeing Elliot and Alice. And he's seeing a lot in that moment. And our job for season 3 will be to deal with that. Really. And I think a lot of questions will be answered season 3. All the answers rather will kind of have questions come out of them, I believe. I think it'll be really interesting for the audience to see what that moment meant.
We always end with these things that beg more roads to go down, more questions to be asked. And that's our evil goal.
You're doing it. You're doing it.
It is evil. It is evil for
It's
sure.
very
I also love what you said, Alex, about, not only has he time traveled, but he is watching what other people who have time traveled are doing. So it's got my wheels spinning. At the end of season 2, we see a young Colton with his grandmother. She knows all the secrets of the magic of the pond, but we didn't get to see what time period this was. Like, it didn't say the date.
Right.
What can you tell us about what that means?
We were very purposefully, I mean, the wardrobe we chose for that scene, we were purposely very ambiguous. And again, I think that is something that we will absolutely address in season 3. So no need to fear. But yes, we were very, very purposeful in no shoes, because shoes will immediately give away the era. So this poor little boy had to be barefoot. and,
running through the bushes barefoot.
yeah, fine. And yes, his grandmother was in something that could look like it would apply from anywhere from the 1700s through to the 80s. That was sort of our goal. And so it's been fun to see people kind of note that and kind of ask questions about it. But no, have no fear. That question I can say with 100% certainty will be answered next season.
What is that like for you guys to sort of watch the reactions online and see people's theories and everything they're coming up with? Like, that must be kind of exciting to just see people so invested in what you guys are doing.
It's incredible. We never expected that level at all. I mean, it's very, makes us laugh sometimes, but it also, I tell Alex not to read everything.
Yeah.
But 'cause I
That-
myself, I've kind of learned a lesson a couple of times when people are mean. But for the most part, this group that follows the show are pretty amazing and so invested and so smart.
Oh my gosh.
So many ways.
No, at the end of the day, I think what we take from it is it's just extremely flattering that people are this invested in a show that we adore and love and care for and take our time with and put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into. But to see it be taken and sort of run with by these groups of fans and viewers is just so it means so much. It really does. And I just think it's sometimes it's what keeps us going, to be quite honest, in these grueling schedules. And the other thing that it's really helped us with is paying even more close attention to detail and making things even more purposeful. I think I was joking around with mom the other day that some of the Hallmark executives that I think at the end of this we should be publishing Elliot's journal, because we did have to write every single entry,
Oh
because
my God.
you don't know where an actor will land when they're playing with it. And we now know that people do take the time and to screenshot and read it, and that's huge for us, because that's that someone wrote that, I wrote that, and it's really lovely to know that people care that much to want to read it too, and not just be this thing that we talk about the time travel journal. No, I want to read it, and I think that's so incredible. We're
You
so
should
great.
totally publish it. I definitely pause every time and try to read everything that's
Oh,
written.
good. It's all there. It's all there. I promise.
All real.
I
Even
know.
the stories in the Herald newspaper have to
Yes.
be written specifically, because people will freeze frame or they'll do the screenshots, and it has to be, you can't just lift any typing from anything and put it in there, or we're kind of screwed.
I don't want to let it go down now.
Yeah.
Taylor Swift's gonna have to take Easter egg advice from you guys moving forward.
Yes, she should.
You guys are
She should
doing
also get us tickets for concerts.
it. With the introduction of Colton officially being a time traveler, this opens up a whole can of worms. Like, we've got Alice, Kat, Jacob, Colton, everybody's time traveling, which to me, gives reason to believe that there are other Landrys somewhere out in the world, potentially also time traveling. So do you think we would ever see that, or even see other time periods in future seasons?
Well, it's a show about time travel, so we're always going to be time traveling, and you can't go back to the same place all the time, or it wouldn't be very interesting. So yeah, we're going to see more places, more. We thought we were taking a huge chance in season 2 to introduce the 1814s, because it was a totally different look, totally different than the 1999s and the 2000 look. And it was dark and dirty and dangerous. And we didn't know. It was a whole new cast, a whole new set. We didn't know how people would react to that. And people reacted really well to it. So now we're a little braver. And yeah, you can rest assured that we haven't run out of places to time travel to.
I know you guys are like in the writer's room, you're in the process. I feel like I've tried to pick your brains on everything I could think of. Is there anything that you can share about kind of like where you guys feel you're at going forward, and I guess how far ahead you try to think about this show with all of the details?
Alex, you address that, because we do think ahead. We dare to think ahead, because as you said, and you can say it better than I do, but in this business, you never know if you're going to get renewed. So you kind of hope you get to do this, and you hope to get that, to do that, when you say, Alex.
Absolutely. I think one of the things about the show is you do need to know the ending before you begin, because of those Easter eggs, because you have to plant them. And so, yes, while we treat every season as its own season, because you never know if you're going to get another one, you also do have to kind of look at that bigger picture, because that's the fun part. And so every season that we kind of get renewed, we're like, oh gosh, we get to show them that bigger piece of the puzzle that we've sort of been planning. And so that's what's really exciting us about season 3 is it's a show that by its very necessity has to be kind of different every season, because the journeys are going to be different, and to show the different angles of this family, their origin, how they continue, is just so exciting for us. And I the Landrys are a remarkable group of people, and I feel very lucky that we get to tell their story. And we'll continue to next season with new chapters, new jumps into the pond, perhaps new places to go. But it's hopefully going to do the same goal as these last 2 seasons, which is ultimately it all ends in a better understanding of where you come from, who you are, who your family is, how important they are, and cherishing that.
I love that. I love that. I'm so excited for season 3. I know my dad told me to tell you guys he can't wait for season
Oh, please say hi to him. He was so sweet at the premiere. Oh my
It
goodness.
was so lovely. Yeah,
Yeah,
say
it would
hi.
be, especially for, this mother-daughter situation that we're in.
Yeah.
It's very cool to see a father-daughter there as well,
Absolutely.
working together. I was like, yeah, my people.
Exactly. I want to thank you guys so much for your time and just congratulations. Like, you guys are killing it. My mind is blown.
Thank you so very much. That's so kind. It's so nice to hear. Honestly, thank
It
you.
is, and thank you for being such a great person
Yeah.
and a great fan. And anytime you want to talk, we're here.
Yeah,
Oh, thank you. I
absolutely.
appreciate it. Season 3, I'm ready.
Yay.
Okay.
Consider subscribing if you like my videos, and if you want to talk more TV and movies with me outside of the comments section, check out my Patreon at patreon.com/kmaldo. If you like this one, you can check out more of my videos right over here. See ya!